I hate that I have to do this. I'm helping to raise money to provide desperately needed aid to the people of Gaza as part of the second annual TTRPG Talk charity drive. But we shouldn't have to be here a second time. The genocide in Gaza has been going on since October 2023 and shows no signs of stopping. Every day, I watch the news and see atrocities that are not only being ignored, but supported by the U.S. government. We have protested and made our voices heard, and yet the arms sales continue. The empty promises keep coming. Israel keeps ethnic cleansing with impunity, and it makes me feel powerless. But we can do something. In January of 2024, Run DMG gathered dozens of TTRPG creators to band together and do what we can. We raised over $25,000 to support Doctors Without Borders, or Médecins Sans Frontières. This year, once again, we have a group of creators of conscience generously donating their time, money, and creativity to support Doctors Without Borders' efforts to help the people of Gaza. How can you help? Of course, you can donate. Any amount counts, whether that's $5 or $5,000. And if you do donate, I'd love if you supported my team, the White Team. You can spread the word by posting on social media, including the fundraiser in your creative content, and sending the links to loved ones who will support the fundraiser. And you can join us for charity live streams or get a ton of great rewards like pro GM sessions and games. I can't express how grateful I am to everyone who donates and who spreads the word. Click on the link in the description to donate. And if you're on Blue Sky, I created a starter pack of everyone who's participating who has an account on Blue Sky. So please go check it out. There are a ton of great creators to follow. Thank you for your support. It means the world to me.
I hate to say it, like, it's all about romance and looking appealing for people. And I hate that I was self-conscious of thinking like, oh, my plus size body is not going to be appealing to anyone. Me watching a lot of playthroughs and stuff in my life, when people describe stuff, a lot of people's brain defaults to white. I am a Black content creator, and a lot of people judge me a lot about the color of my skin. I don't want to educate. I just want to represent.
Friends, welcome to Characters Without Stories, a TTRPG podcast about the roads not yet traveled. I'm Star. This episode, I'm joined by Taylor, who goes by SpunkyTaylor. Taylor is a Black variety content creator and TTRPG performer located on the East Coast. She loves to cosplay to bring her characters to life. Welcome, Taylor, to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone.
If you are listening and you're not watching video for this episode, I just want to let you know that Spunky is coming to the podcast in full cosplay and looks amazing. Taylor, do you mind describing your look?
Yes. So my look, I'm wearing pirate gear. I have like a trench coat style with 3 different layers on it. It is lace. And then half of my face has gold flakes on it, glued down by Prozade, and I tried to do a decaying mouth look, and I have a yellow contact in, a pirate hat, so very pirate theme.
It looks fabulous.
Thank you.
How did you get started playing TTRPGs?
I got started playing TTRPGs. It was actually started as a petty thing in high school when there was a group of guys playing Dungeons & Dragons at a club called Games Club in my school. And I said, I want to play. And they said that my brain would be too small to understand what is going on.
Oh, yeah.
So I took that, and I appreciate my friend Orion, who wrote a Hunger Games campaign for me. And we played that, and that got me into it a little bit more. And then I just started studying more and more on my own. And then I just fell in love with it.
I'm kind of surprised that you kept going after hearing that from the players. I mean, that's incredibly sexist.
Yeah.
I don't know, honestly, how much race may have been a part of that as well, but it sounded like it was just a big group of guys, or?
Yeah, it was a big group of guys, and I went to a heavily white school too. But I think it was mainly towards that I was a girl and that I was plus size and stuff, because they did let one girl join in. But since like I didn't look like her, she got to join in. So I don't know what the intentions. Probably each of the guys had their different reasons of why I can't join, but it motivated me. I don't let anything stop me. If anything stopped me, then I'll be boring in my life. I'll just be doing nothing really.
How did you transition from playing to being a performer?
I love acting, really. Like my friends, we did this game with a system called GUI Cube. They made a campaign called Red Star. My friends invited me over to play it one day, and we was having such a good time. And they was like, "We should start recording this." And I'm like, "Okay." So I started recording with them. We had a fun time during COVID trying to play it. We never posted the videos yet. We're going to try to redo it, and then we wanted to do a bigger production value on it. Then one of my friends, Cuttlefish, and another person named Taylor, they introduced me to the World of Darkness series, and we was playing it on our own. And then I said, "Hey, I'm a streamer. I can record our sessions if you want." They said, "Well, we always wanted to record a session." So we made a series that is up on my YouTube channel. The first time recording and producing a TTRPG.
That's awesome. So were you streaming before you started streaming TTRPG content?
Yes, I've been a content creator for 10 years now. Started off on YouTube, did a lot of gaming videos, did challenge videos, did vlogging. I used to have a podcast. It's about to be rebooted again. Here soon, called the Midnight Grab It Podcast. My channel started off with wanted to make a podcast rating conventions, because I felt like there was not enough podcasts about that, just talking about conventions and stuff. And then I was like, well, I don't travel a lot because I'm a college student. So maybe I can't just make a stable podcast like this. I moved over to pop culture, then I moved over to gaming, and then that's how my content creation developed. And then I moved over to TikTok, where I blew up on there.
Have you been to a ton of conventions?
Now officially I've been to a lot more conventions after college. I took the risk to start going to conventions in college years. I risked going to PAX East as my very first really big convention and stuff. Had a great time. Started going every year. I networked with a lot of people. Then I went to OMG-Con. Indie PopCon was a popular one I went to. MomoCon and Anime Expo. So I started to travel more and more. My goal is to try to travel out of town once a year to go to a convention that I've never been to out of state.
Why is it that you go to so many conventions? What do you like about them?
I love the cosplaying, and I guess I love just meeting my online friends. If all my online friends say, I love this convention so much, I'd be like, all right, I'll come next year. So I can get to see you. We can cosplay. We can do panels and stuff. I have never been part of a panel lineup. I've been a moderator for a panel, but I just never got to sit down and do panels. But I love listening to panels and stuff. And that's a big goal of mine. I love community. That's a big thing about me. I love community building, and conventions to me is just a big community building.
Taylor, who are you bringing to the table today?
I am bringing Captain Aria Godey, Captain Godey. She is a infamous pirate who just sails the seven seas with her crew that met the demise of a golden curse that is slowly decaying her body with gold.
Describe to me what Aria looks like.
Aria, before the curse, she is a plus size with ebony skin. Her hair is in passion twists. She wears a long black captain hat with roses and ribbons on and gold trimming. She loves the color black and red a lot. So a lot of her outfits is always corsets with black and red with gold trimmings and trench coats. Lots of jewelry on, tattoos up and down her arms. She's just a real pirate. But after the curse, it's half her face is gold and decaying.
Yeah. Are her tattoos traditional pirate tattoos, or does she have any particular style?
She loves flowers and bugs. So like moths, because moth is a sign of like change and beauty in the world and being unique. And like roses, it's just her favorite flower. Just to have sunflowers just brightens up her day more. Really bright flowers gets her.
You said this character started as cosplay. So tell me about the beginnings of Aria.
The beginnings of Aria I was scrolling on TikTok. It was Halloween time and I saw another Black creator did this look. It was a pirate look with gold flakes. And I said, that was so cool. I really want that. I want to do that. And a lot of my characters I do on TikTok, I always give them a backstory that helps me figure out what audios to do, how the lighting in my room will look like. What do I want to bring to the table to TikTok today? So I gave her more of like a hopeful, dark look in the videos I created. So I used like a sunset lamp. So it's like my room is dark. It's a sunset. So it just makes it feel like you're on the pirate ship with her. So I just slowly developed on there. Because first on TikTok, I didn't give her a name. I just put Gold Pirate. I didn't know how to name her. I didn't know what to name her. I think I just left it to the imaginations of everyone in my community. It's just like, this is just a Gold Flakes pirate. Because I even brought her to Ren fairs and stuff. People asked me what her name was, and I really did not know. She just Gold Flakes pirate until more and more when I got into the TTRPG space. I was like, let me nail down a name for her. And I looked up words that connects with the word gold, and Aria popped up, and I really liked that name. And I also love the show Pretty Little Liars. So, I just stuck to Aria.
Did you invent this character originally just with the intention for cosplay content, or did you think of her as a potential TTRPG character?
At first, she was just a cosplay. I had a backstory and everything in my head for her, but I never thought about actually performing her until I saw a show called Salt and Serpents. It's on Pixel Circus. It's all pirates. I really enjoyed their performances, and I was like, wow, I think my character would fit this world a lot. So that's when I started thinking about more and more to fit her in there. But then I realized there's never been any pirate games for me to put her in yet.
When we first talked about your character, you obviously had built this character without a specific game in mind. So we talked about a few different games that might work, and we settled on Thirsty Sword Lesbians. Can you tell my listeners a little bit about Thirsty Sword Lesbians?
Well, Thirsty Sword Lesbians, it's all about building relationships. Relationships is a big thing you need to do here. Like, you are trying to find yourself. Are you going to find love? Are you going to accept love? It's all about connecting and being with everyone at your table. And then I also love the system Monster of the Week. They have the same formats of how to do character creations with one another. So that really helped me connect with the system even more.
So within the system, you choose a playbook that kind of defines the archetype of your character. So which playbook did you end up going with?
I picked the Infamous.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about that playbook.
So with the Infamous, I connected with it because like the archetypes kind of connected to it is like former villain, escape henchman, and like veteran of dishonor. It's someone that was like so famous, but then like had hardship somewhere in the middle. And like with Captain Aria, she was just a sailor, like a swashbuckler. And then next, about to get a little dark here, guys, but like she killed her captain so she can take over. She didn't like the treatment that the crew was having, so she killed her captain. And then she just ended up being Captain Aria Godey after that.
It sounds a little bit, because you're talking about how she killed the captain because she didn't like the treatment of the crew. So it doesn't sound like an entirely self-serving reason to commit that murder. Would you say that she is a self-serving character, or a character that doesn't have the same kind of moral compass, or that she really was motivated by helping people?
She was really motivated to help others. She always wanted to be a leader. And like a big thing with her, like connected to also to me, is like community, a family. And that's all she wanted, is to find her chosen family. And that was the crew.
So going off the playbook, being a former villain, is that perception of her as a villain not the perception that people close to her might have?
Yeah, because like when people hear the word like pirate, they think like, oh, they're about to like rob us, steal us and stuff. She might. That's a big thing. But Her goal is always to like keep her promise to her crew that they will always live with her. Like she will always take care of them. She will always be by their side, have their backs, just gives to them. And hopefully they will give back to her too.
So what drew you to the idea of a character that has kind of a reputation that maybe doesn't align with how she is in private? That people assume certain things about her based on this reputation.
I think it just hit with real life with me. I am a Black content creator, and a lot of people judge me a lot about the color of my skin. So people just like always assume, like the world will always be assuming. And then I think that's why I connect to Captain Aria so much, that people just gonna assume by her and her job title that she is a pirate. Like pirate equals evil, pirate equals bad. Talk to her, you won't know the real Captain Aria.
So is she only presenting this real face to her crew?
She hasn't really been on to the main lands that's populated with people when they set the sail. But like she does have like a mask and stuff, so she doesn't like freak out towns. Only the crew knows of her real identity because she doesn't want the crew to think that she's weak, that she's gonna get hurt by this setback of a little curse.
So does her crew not see her underneath the mask?
Her crew does see her without the mask. Just like if they go to islands and stuff, if there's anyone that's not on her crew, she hides her face.
What is it that made you create a character that, considering that as a cosplayer, obviously your face is a big part of what you do, your makeup and all of the things that go into that. And it's beautiful, by the way. But what is it about wearing a mask that appealed to you?
I think it's just the judgment by people that don't know her. She rather just skip the awkward phase. This is a decaying person. She's not just gold, like her eye is sucking in. It's not a good sight. Her goal is to find a cure for this curse, and the best way to find it is she has to talk to people. But she needs to get that initial shaking the hands and talking to others first. And some people just don't want to talk to almost a half zombie pirate.
I could see how that could be a little concerning.
Yeah.
So let's get into this curse. How did it happen?
Captain Aria got a message from one of like her spies and stuff that they just send out to other islands and stuff. And they brought back like a treasure map. And they said it's just like a whole giant cave of gold. Aria's like, well, we'd be set for life. There's like just the biggest treasure she ever seen in her time of being a captain. So they went there, they found the cave. The cave is obviously like shaped as a skull. You know, when it's cave is shaped as a skull, that means bad news. So she told her crew to like stay behind for a moment. She was going to explore it. And then she looked at it, found all the gold. She didn't like grab like globs and globs of it. She grabbed up like one piece. And that one piece she didn't know would change her whole life forever. That now she is decaying, and because the spirits think she was being greedy for taking the one piece. And now she's off in this mission to show that she's not being greedy, and like she just wants to help out the crew and stuff. This is where kind of like a little bit of the villainous part probably came in, is that now she is making her crew sail with her forever until this cure is found. Like nobody can go home and see their families yet or anything like that. Even if they do go home to see their families, it's just because they landed on that island or that land, and then they stay there for a couple of days or so. She's just taking the crew along with her. Like, we are in this together because we're family, a right energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where it's like a little bit of the villainous or like selfishness is kind of get involved in, is right there.
You mentioned that this amount of gold would set them up for life. If Aria were to get that kind of treasure, would she retire?
She probably will be still selling the seeds, but she knows that a lot of the crew just like does this for money. That would have been the time where she would get them to go and be like, hey, this is your chance to either you want to leave or you could still sell the seeds with me.
What does she love about sailing and about being a pirate?
The freedom of it. The freedom just to be out on the ocean, like quote unquote, no rules, not to get in trouble and stuff. A nice escapism, just traveling around. It's like a vacation 24/7.
Let's go a little bit into the playbook and the character sheet. So when you build a character, you have a few choices to make. So tell me what kind of choices you made.
Yeah, so with the starting stat, like Darren will always be a +1 because Infamous, like she will always be in your face. She's gonna be daring to go on the next adventure. The next part is like with Grace, like is she be able to like connect with others? I think that's where the mask would come from. So that's why I gave her a -1 because of decaying zombie over here. I really believe that Captain Godey has a heart, but there's like a 0 heart in her stats, but that's the only option I have for it. But I think she only has like the hearts for her crew, but she probably won't have no heart for anyone else. Wit, she's very headstrong. So she, there's a +0 on it. And then Spirit, she's not going to let this curse bring her down. So she has her willpower of basically spite and like determination and everything. And that's why I gave her the +1 in Spirit.
She really only has love for her crew. Does she have other relationships, other people that are important to her?
No, it's just her crew. That's the only ones that basically she's just been on pirate ship after pirate ship ever since she was a kid. So she knows nothing of her past or could remember of her past.
How did she end up on a pirate ship in the first place?
I believe like she was like in an orphanage, and the next you know, she just saw pirates talking, and then she hid in a crate and just landed on a ship. And they're already like too far out on seas to drop her off somewhere until she just stayed.
Mm-hmm. Just made herself useful until they wouldn't just leave her.
Yeah, just didn't throw her off the side of the ship.
Mm-hmm. So did she have to work her way up a lot to get to...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So was she the first mate before she killed the captain?
Yes. Like, she was the first mate. She climbed up the ranks as far as she can. And the captain that she had was basically a brand new kind of captain that she didn't really get to work with. Like, the other captain passed away peacefully in their sleep. Like, he was very old and stuff. And then the new captain, I had her, like, she just moved up, like, almost like a second mate, first mate. So she was a second mate and then moved up a little bit. And she just didn't like the way that they was running it, like treating nobody like a human being.
Speaking of relationships, is Aria interested in romance at all?
I think Aria really wants it. Like, she is really feeling the touch starve because, like, they never tested it out, but she keeps gloves on her hands because she's afraid that, like, is this contagious? So she hasn't hugged or shake hands and stuff with anybody in like years, like with her actual hand. Like everything's always gloved up, almost like a Frozen Elsa moment.
Mm-hmm. Or Rogue and X-Men.
Yeah, like, but there's no proof that this is contagious or not, but she just didn't want to risk it. And so even though like some crewmates volunteered to do it, but she's like, she just don't thinking she would have a good conscience to do that to somebody.
Yeah. So I think Thirsty Sword Lesbians is an interesting game because a lot of it is about those kinds of relationships. So what do you see as her struggle there? Like if you were to play in a game, how do you think that would impact that part of the game?
This is something that like I had to deeply think about. There's playbook moves because some of them really connected with her. Like there's one playbook move that's called like Who's the Monster. That one is like when you expose the hypocrisy of somebody who like judges her. You can't love someone. It's like, well, love doesn't have to be a physical touch. It can be like a verbal thing. Another move that I took is They Can Always Change Too. She feels like that she has grown a lot having this curse and stuff, but she still like keeps the crew on the ship. But so she hasn't learned that much, but she knows people can change. She just knows this curse has changed her a lot. Wicked Pass is like when you hear about like a villain for the first time that she will always know everyone, which is true. She talks to everyone. She loves to network to everyone. Then the Make It Right. I think Make It Right is like a big thing connected to Aria because she doesn't know if she needs to really find like a physical item or she needs to right wrongs that she doesn't even know. So she's just basically doing both, like righting her wrongs on this adventure and trying to find an item too.
At last, I have reached the tallest peak in all the world, where the wisest person lives. Finally, I'll get the answers I seek.
Welcome. I am the wisest person in the world. Ask me your question.
What is my purpose in life? What should I be doing to achieve pure happiness?
You must stream Game Master Monday.
Come again.
Game Master Monday, the bi-weekly podcast that plays a new one-shot in a new system in a new setting with a new cast every episode. Listening to their funny jokes and wild stories is the only path to happiness, my child.
Sick. I'm going to go home and binge the whole thing right now.
What a nice kid. Oh dear, he fell off the mountain. Now they'll never know how good Game Master Monday is.
So when you're building characters for TTRPGs in general, do you often start with the look or the cosplay?
Like, I picture in my mind and being like, what haven't I played yet? And then also another thing, if this is going to be an actual play on camera and stuff, I would always, next step is, can I execute this idea? And then if I can't execute the idea, either I try to tweak it a little bit or I scrap it and figure out somebody that could actually cosplay.
Where do you find inspiration for your cosplay?
I think I really do find it from like others. Like if I just scroll a lot on TikTok. TikTok is, I think, it's the biggest inspiration I have. And Spotify. Sometimes I listen to a song and I can picture like a whole scene in my head, like a whole music video, and then be like, that's what I want. That's what I need. It takes me a long time to find looks and stuff. I think about it for a long time. I know when I'm in session zeros with people, they be like, wow, you came up with a character pretty fast. And I was like, you don't know. This character has been in like a locked file somewhere. And I'm like, oh, I could fit in this game. Or like I've been thinking about it for like months for a system. It's a long step process of me like, can I execute the character? Do I get to represent BIPOC on my character? Can I represent me being plus size with this character and show it off? And those are like the main things I like to, as my goals and stuff. I like to challenge myself to do things like, oh, how's the hair going to look? I've been doing passion twists for a while. Let's do an afro this time. Let's have short hair this time. Just like the smallest bits that I know a lot of people don't describe in the games is very important to me to show like, this is what she looks like. This is representation. I need people to have this in their head. And this is why like I describe a lot of that stuff most of the time in all my games. I know a lot of fellow players and stuff tells me that I do describe a lot of tiny details that people don't think about describing. And I say, yes, it's very, very important to me that those are out there so people can connect and visualize it in their heads.
What would be an example of that?
Hair is always the biggest thing I love to start off with. Me watching a lot of playthroughs and stuff in my life, when people describe stuff, a lot of people's brain defaults to white hair, white people hair and stuff, unless you are sitting down and describing it. And that's because that hair sets the tone for everything before you describe the skin tone. And so I love to say, like, my character has 4C type hair. So that shows that, boom, it's a natural hair. Sometimes I'd be saying, like, my character wears Bantu knots sometimes. That'll get people to go in or maybe even Google search and was like, what is a Bantu knot? And look, you just learned something new today. And that's the biggest thing I love to do. And then I go down saying, like, they have ebony skin. I don't like to use the word dark skinned it too much unless I'm trying to do a quick description, like something like typing wise and stuff, until I can find the perfect name for it. And to avoid food products too is the big thing. I know a lot of like foundations and stuff is food products like mocha, toffee and stuff. And there's other words to describe that. And I'd like to try to do it. My default is most of the time is ebony if I can't really think of it. That is my skin tone is ebony. And then I go to eye shape and then I move to how tall, because tall helps me figure out weight too along the way to describe, like, she does have like bigger arms. She has stretch marks on her belly or stretch marks on the arm. Getting those representations out helped me out more.
Do you think in your role as a performer and as a cosplayer that it's part of your duty to educate?
That's a really hard question. And cause I don't want to educate. I just want to represent.
Mm-hmm.
I want to represent who I am and what I bring to the table. I don't mind answering simple questions, but also Google is free. And and my goal is, if something I said, I hopefully somebody Google something and then they educate themselves to be like, oh, and it's good representation, because it's been a long, hard battle in the TTRPG space for the past few months just to bring more representation to the table without also feeling tokenized. I know it's been a big thing that a lot of people, which I am proud of, are trying to recruit more BIPOC people. That's their goal. BIPOC is the goal. This is what they need and stuff. But also I need people to understand it's to not tokenize and just don't be like, all right, we got our one Black person, now we can breed and cast whoever we want. That's not how that works. That's not how casting works. That's not reality. It's just working at a business. There's departments in HR that's diversity talents to help you know that there's other representations out there. I guess I'm just tired of people giving excuses of hey, I just don't know any BIPOC people. Well, number one, that's concerning that you don't know any BIPOC people. And two, I think of most people in this community, DMs are open. And I feel a lot of people have reached out and connected with people a lot. But when it's a BIPOC person, why aren't you giving it the same energy? And I think that's what I'm trying to do. Representation of BIPOC people, Black people can do this. And I hate to say that we're on a different pedestal, but we are. It's just how the society made us. And seeing it all the time. If one Black person in the TTRPG space does something wrong, then we all get hated for it. And that's something that goes on. And I hate that that's what life is, but that's what happens with us. And it stinks. But so that's why I say my job, I feel like I need to represent more than educate.
So you mentioned HR, and one thing I always think about is, the diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in HR and things like that. But one of the things they're adding now is belonging. So do you feel that you belong, that you have a place of belonging?
Yes. There's been a lot of tables that I connected with that oh yeah, I belong at this table and I'm so grateful to be here. And I'm so grateful that I got casted here. I didn't question one time that I'm here just because of the color of my skin. I just felt they're here for me. I think the biggest example I like to shout them out is Game Master Monday. They created a game called Camp Meadowview. I love our table. The table is great. I never felt so out of place on there. Even one time our game landed on Juneteenth, and I reached out to them and said, hey, Juneteenth is landing on one of our games. What's the game plan there? And they said, hey, we was going to make it a charity stream. And we worked together on that to make it a charity stream, because I was either going to suggest either A, we was going to make it a charity stream, or B, skip that Wednesday to let other Black representation go out that day. But since we made it a charity stream, we raised a lot of money for the Marsha P. Johnson Foundation. It was an amazing day. It spoke volumes to me that they did that it was on their mind, that I didn't have to be the person really to poke them and be like, hey, we should do this. They already was in the works of it. They already knew it. And that speaks volume to me. And that's why I will always work with Game Master Monday and that whole table with this love and support they gave me.
Yeah. Grant, by the way, of Game Master Monday is a former guest on the show. And I think a lot of people who have played on Game Master Monday have also been guests on my podcast. So I love that. Grant is fantastic.
Yes.
I've also been on Game Master Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got everyone.
As I think Castleton really brought a lot of us together.
So I want to ask too, do you think that the needle has moved? Do you think that since you started in the TTRPG community that there has been progress?
Yes, I've been seeing the progress slowly happening in others. I've been seeing casting call changes. I've been seeing people actually hiring diversity council. And I know a lot of people don't even think about even doing that for their games and stuff, to hire somebody to do that. People are asking more questions. People are doing more research and stuff. I know there's some companies out there that has setbacks and stuff. I make videos on those companies and stuff, and hopefully they'll learn their lesson. I'm very proud that a lot of people in the Black community, in the BIPOC community, are speaking up more and more about this. But I guess right now I'd be like sitting here, so what is appealing to see just a table of all white people? What is appealing of all white men? And it's very discouraging seeing that on Twitch. If you go on the Dungeons and Dragons or tabletop section of Twitch, it's all white men tables and they have like 500 viewership. And I do not connect with these men at these tables at all. I don't understand what they're doing 24/7. And then when I go lower down there and I see a good diverse group and stuff, I'm in the story. I get the passion, the connection, the friendship that they all have. I see that. And I wish that would get more love and stuff. And the only way that stuff can be boosted is we all have to be a community. We boost each other up. We recognize that we need to push BIPOC people more. We need help. And the only people that have the big voices right now in this community is white voices. And we need help in that aspect to keep on putting us on these shows, keep on giving us a platform and helping us boost us up more.
You also talked about being plus size. And I know that being in a fat body has there are a lot of the same struggles, I think. Obviously, I am a bigger person. I have dealt with fat phobia. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't even consider. You're obviously in the cosplay space, and that is something where your body is more forward. Do you struggle with that? Is that something that you've encountered a lot?
Yeah, especially like I mainly encounter more if I do more full body content and stuff, which I don't do a lot. Because like right now, like I'm just a top half. So people don't know my sizes until I tell them, it's like, y'all know I'm like over 200 pounds, right? I am 5'9" and over 200 pounds. That's a lot. And I have PCOS too. So it's really hard to lose weight if I even tried. It's like until I start posting like full body pictures of me and stuff, that's when people be like, whoa. I posted the cosplay of me cosplaying Spider-Bite from Marvel. The first comment I got under there was, sit down, Tubbs. And I was like, dang.
Yeah.
Number one, Spider-Bite is also plus size in the latest movie. They made her plus size, which I like that a lot. It's just like, why is that the first comment? And like, also, you don't follow me. What is going on? So it just always throws me off when people just decide to they have to leave that comment. I'm like, do you feel good about yourself? And I just hit the delete and move on. Yeah. I was like, I'm glad you got off your chest. Okay, have a great day. Bye.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think about representation for people in bigger bodies in TTRPGs in general?
There's not a lot. It's just like there's not a lot. I wish there was more, or at least like people describe it more, because sometimes we don't have pictures. We don't have the artwork. I want people to describe it more. Like on character sheets, I bet you if you look at people's character sheet, I don't think people put weight down. Most of the time people skip that. Or they do the basis of, I think, 125, most people do as their characters and something like that. But like, why do we skip that part? We all picture the weight in our head. I think that needs to be described. It's nothing to be ashamed of or anything. I think people only describe the weight of the character if they're all muscle. Like, I'm an orc. I'm a big orc. I don't know if it's just people are afraid that their character's going to get like fat shamed or something like that. I tell the people out there, don't be afraid. And if you are getting fat shamed, and then the GM, your table is not for you. And then that means you need to leave. That's not good. That's not a good table at all. So I'm hoping that more and more people do describe the body type more. I have a specific template now where I do mood boards for I have an artist that does all my characters art unless the table already provides one. Her name is the Tiny Taco, and I always make sure the picture is always like of a plus size Black woman of different types of size. Sometimes they're more rounded. Sometimes it's an hourglass. It's sometimes more top heavy, or sometimes more bottom heavy and stuff like that. I like to just explore it all to give that representation.
Yeah, I think for me, as I've started to become more conscious of, kind of the way that I internalize it too, is that I was tending to play characters who were skinny or who were normal. I'm putting that in air quotes for anybody listening, who were more straight sized. And as I started to become more conscious about it and look for imagery, to look, online for images for inspiration, it is so hard to find images, for example, on Pinterest of fantasy art that is of plus size people.
I would love to give a shout out to to Gloria. I know Gloria made a post about more plus size representation in the TTRPG space, and it hit hard. I was like, I want to get better at it too. So I made sure that y'all know my character's big, or I have artwork for it as much as I can plus size. I try my best to add that as much as I can in games, because I love their character in Castleton. Because technically, my character, Florence, in Castleton is technically plus size. But I guess I got really nervous and self-conscious. This is a big project. There's a lot of new people in there. And it's all about, I hate to say it, it's all about romance and looking appealing for people. And I hate that I was self-conscious and thinking oh, my plus size body is not going to be appealing to anyone. And not about as heavy. So my character is drawn very skinny because I didn't write the description down. In my notes, I wrote it down, but then I deleted that part when I submitted what my character looked like. And then the pictures I didn't use a plus size person. But I saw that Gloria did that. Gloria made sure, you guys know my character's plus size. And the artwork is just beautiful. And it's it brought me to tears just reading their threads about it. And I said, I wish I had the strength that day to do so. But it was literally going to be my fourth AP with strangers, especially 150 strangers. And you're just trying to make a good impression. And you just don't know what to do. So I'm already coming into space as Black, but now I'm Black and neurodivergent. And I'm also plus size. In my brain, I was pick a struggle, pick one thing, and then we roll with it. But so it's just one of those moments of that. And I just wish I had the strength and courage like Gloria did to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to me, Castleton, it seems partially inspired by Bridgerton, right?
Bridgerton and Hunger Games, yes.
Yeah. So hearing about your struggle at the same time as there was this recent controversy about having a plus size woman centered in a romance plot in Bridgerton.
Mm-hmm. Because I think Castleton came out before that. If that season came out before Castleton, I think that would have also gave me more strength to be more plus size or say it out loud more there. I guess it's just one of the moments I'm going to be honest. And when I started Castleton, I knew no one there. Out of 150 people, that's crazy to not know. I barely knew anyone. I knew Grant, and that was it. It's very one of those moments of I hate to say it, but code switching. It's still myself, but also you have your guard up because you don't know who you're going to talk to, who you interact. These are people that you idolize, and you just got to hope that they're nice and great. I haven't had any bad issues in Castleton. Nobody has ever fat shamed me or was racist or anything like that ever in Castleton. This is all just me just being paranoid and just having my guard up. Just I'd rather just pick a struggle. And it was just my character was going to be Black was the main thing. I wanted to make sure to come across.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you talking about how you would have been braver if what happened with Bridgerton had happened before. And I think that really speaks to the power of representation, like you were talking about earlier. Seeing somebody like you gives you courage to portray that and to be open about that part of yourself.
Yeah, it's seeing representation, more and more being all right, cool, I can come out better and more to do this. I talked to on a different podcast where somebody talked to me about, did Black people revive cosplaying? And I said that back in the day when I was a little kid in elementary school and stuff, it was wrong for you to be in nerd things. It was very frowned upon. And if you did nerd things, people will call you an Oreo or a white Black person. You could not just be a Black person who loved nerdy things. You could not. It was just horrifying. It was whoa, unheard of. And I think now with the generation growing and I think during COVID time, I think people just started okay, I like this too. So anyone can like it. I think seeing the more representation, Megan Thee Stallion and just more Straw Hat Goofy, just seeing more and more Black people coming out saying, I am a nerd and I am proud. And seeing that representation even motivated me more and more to show that representation all the time on TikTok. I've been cosplaying and content creating for a very long time, but a lot of people will notice I don't post on Instagram as much. I don't post about my cosplays and stuff on Facebook as much and stuff because I was so afraid of judgment for people in my IRL life. I didn't care about strangers. I just care about people near me who used to call me an Oreo or a white Black person.
Going to Captain Aria, and you talked about her being on this quest to find a cure. What is it about that quest that inspires you, or what is it you're hoping to see in her eventual arc if you do get to play her?
Her, like, falling in love with strangers again. I highly doubt that everybody in a campaign where it's like I'm already like the leader of a whole ship and stuff. I think I like to see some people like on equal playing fields and stuff a lot in the campaigns. But I see like maybe just like other people was like traveling and then snuck onto her boat and then having that interaction. And then Arya has to learn of like, do I trust a stranger or do I gotta throw the stranger off? And then she would remember herself as her younger years when she was a kid that said somebody else made the same decision on her. It's like the history repeat herself kind of thing. So I'm hoping to see more growth in that aspect. And probably that at the end, doing her first touch, even if it's like a hug or a handshake or anything without the gloves.
That sounds like it would be a powerful moment. When you're playing TTRPGs, is that something that you try to do, is set up these kind of emotional moments? Is being emotional important to you in games?
I haven't done like a big monologue yet at all in a game and stuff. I do want to try to do that one day, and I want to make sure I pre-plan it because like I'm good at improving, but I'm not good at improving like a monologue that some people could just do on the fly. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I wish I can be at that level, but I know myself. I'm a very hardcore yes and person, but I cannot be a yes and plus 5-minute monologue person. And like if it's like a planned moment, like with this character, I would love to have a more dramatic and sad moment and stuff. I think I did my first ever like really big sad moment was in Camp Metaview, was with Ross from Blaze of Mayari. My character finally admitted to Ross's character saying that, hey, I did a whole ritual and my character is turning into a demon slowly. And it's crazy like that has happened. And then I'm tearing up myself talking about like I was really feeling the hard emotions. Like it's like the relief of telling your old time best friend this big secret that you've been carrying in this weight for a long time and asking for help.
Arya and the other character that you were just talking about are both characters that are slowly transitioning into something monstrous. What is it about that story that is compelling to you?
I think it's because I love werewolves. Not kidding. But like, like I think it really, really started off with my demon girl, Imani. Like I just thought that was like, wow, this girl did a ritual just to like get a second period so she can like not have acne, look hot and stuff, but she didn't know the repercussions was to turn into a demon, basically. But she can go back and forth into a demon and looking normal again. It just seems like a good story arc to me. And like, are you a monster in the monster form, or have you just been growing up as a monster your whole life? And I think I love going through those paths and seeing like where the character go off with it. Like if you are cursed, what are you going to do with that curse? Are you just going to sit down and cry about it, or are you just going to embrace it and keep going?
It's interesting also in both instances that there seems to be a character flaw that prompted or was the impetus for this change that happened. So you're talking about Imani and talking about how vanity was the motivation for this ritual and then became the reason why she was cursed. And in Captain Aria's case, we have greed as a motivator that caused this curse. So I see in both a chance to kind of redeem themselves and learn to grow past these flaws that they have. Is that a redemption arc something that you are motivated by or interested in particularly?
Yeah, I love redemption arcs. That's like a really big thing. And like with Imani really didn't have like a redemption arcs. It was like a mini series. I think she had closure with the characters, but with herself, she is still on her own trying to find this cure. So she's just left hanging there on the miniseries. And I really like the redemption arc. I think with me as a person IRL, I think I just see a little good in everyone, and just hopefully that everyone can like learn about themselves. I'm not saying that we would be besties and stuff like that, but I think that people will be able to learn from their situation and problems. If we had beef and stuff, I always wish them the best, and hopefully they just grow.
Tell me about what it was like performing Captain Aria in cosplay. What do you do when you perform in cosplay? Do you create scenes, or what kind of content do you create?
With my characters and stuff, I love to do like a slow reveal with my characters. Like there's an effect on TikTok where you can do slow reveals, so you can see the outfit and stuff. So like I love to post those first, so people could be like, oh, what is this character? Or like in their brain, they already made up something in their mind what this character is all about. And then once I finish that, then I look up audios that would tell a storyline, an open-ended storyline, because, you know, TikTok is all about duets and stuff. Like, so people could easily just hop in with their own characters and duet to connect with her. Like sometimes most of the content I create, it's like having a conversation with her. It's like her either like intensely listening or cracking a joke like you would do, like, you know, locker room talk energy. And that's how I think about it. That's like how the videos would look like and be performing. So it's just a lot of mini scenes in my head. And I try to keep the captions as vague as possible because, again, I don't want to lose that room that people have creative freedom to duet the video however they seem fit.
In a way, that is a form of role play. Essentially, you're creating a scene and building off what other people are saying to you, creating situations that other people can build off. It's very collaborative. Just like playing TTRPGs, is that kind of exercising the same muscles for you?
I just will always love storytelling. Storytelling in a collaborative way. Like, I just love to see, like, what will we do next? Like, I did all the different types of role-playing forums and Discord servers, talking, and now, like, acting and stuff like that. I really want to be part of my first ever LARP. I haven't even done LARPing yet, really, to be honest. There's not a lot in my area that's not just sword fighting. I'm not a combat girly.
Mm-hmm.
I love to sit down and I want to talk it out and role play it out. I think I fit really good in a Game of Thrones LARP. If I needed to talk my way out of the situation, I think I need a Game of Thrones LARP and see where it goes there. But that's what I connect to the best. Like, I think that it's just also the easiest way for me to be, I guess, a GM for a story without being an actual GM, because I'm a forever player. I don't think I can be easily run a whole campaign and run like an actual play. I was like, I think a lot of people was waiting for me. It's like, all right, Taylor's about to make her debut as a GM. And I was like, probably not.
So you mentioned that sometimes you find inspiration from songs, and we're also talking about creating these kind of collaborative TikToks. How much of that is you building your character as you're going, or how much of it is kind of predetermined by a backstory that you created?
It's all about the players at the table. A big example is with Imani. It was a video show with Camp Metaview, but on episode 1, you will see that I look like a normal teenage girl. And then as every episode slowly went, one episode I had pointy ears. Another episode I had red eyes. And then the last episode, I'm completely red with horns. Everyone's like, how did we get here? Just seeing that slow transition. And it was my table. And my table didn't know what was going on. Everybody at the table did not know that my character was a demon. They knew that I was playing the monstrous playbook, but that was it. But they didn't know what kind of monster I was going to be. There was some events that happened during the table where my character used her powers too much and her eyes started turning red. So I made a note that next game I have to make sure my eyes are red. There was one game where the GM said your skin started to look a little bit more red. So I gave myself more blush because I wanted to save myself being all red to the finale episode, but I made myself a little bit more red. I gave myself pointy ears. It depends on what the table did to discover a piece of my character, and was a nice collaborative effort to push that narrative.
I mean, that sounds incredible. This physical transformation going along with the character transformation. I mean, obviously you're a cosplayer and that's an area of interest and expertise for you, but I think that's amazing when I see actual play content where people change over the course of it. She is slowly, you mentioned that it's not just gold. Her face is also kind of rotting. Is she scared? How scared is she of what the end result's going to be?
Oh, she's scared like every night. Because it's a slow process. Like, because it was just a small patch on her cheek, almost like a gold like mole. And she's just like, oh, I just got a piece of gold mole on here. And then as the days go by, it just keeps on growing and growing and growing. And then it didn't really settle into her when her eye just started sinking in. And so she's like, she doesn't show it to people, but at night she's crying. She's upset. She's afraid of death. Like, is this going to be her legacy? It's like a big question that always stays in her head.
So she's concerned about her legacy then?
Yeah, she feels like she hasn't done the good that she wants to do. She just has more plans. Like, oh, if she did get this gold kush, she could have been a Robin Hood. Like, toss a couple gold sacks to kids and say, take that back to your parents, you'll be fine. And, like, help out this poor family, and just like she's able to give. And then that she can stop taking as much.
Does she have any quirks?
Quirks. That's a good question. The mask. She tries her best to do puns and stuff, but just never lands. It's not good. She tried to have that riz. She felt like that's like, oh, romance is how you connect to people. Everybody loves a good flirt, and then people listen.
Do you have a character voice for her?
Not really. I'm not good at character voices at all. That's something I really want to work on more, but I just picture her as more like strong and powerful. Like, if I take a deep breath in and I straighten out my back, and then like more power, more leadership energy like that.
Captain Aria, do you have a strong sense of style?
I think I have the best style across the 7 seas. Do you see these lace, these Coachman? You just can't find these anywhere just on the streets.
How would you describe your style if you were going to tell somebody in a few words?
Rich and dark, mysterious. I think that's what all the ladies like too.
Taylor, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and for sharing Captain Aria with me and my audience.
Like, thank you so much for letting me be here. It's so cool. I always checked out your podcast and stuff, and I was like, do I have a character on story? I do. This character has always been number 1 on my list to play at a game. Put me in, anyone who wants Captain Aria.
Yeah, I'm gonna boost that. Please let Captain Aria come to life in a game. I would love to see it. Do you have anything that you want to share with my listeners?
You guys can check me out at SpunkyTaylor Games on Twitch. I'll be playing a lot more story games. If you love like scary games that has heavy story types, like choice-based games, you can check me out there. I don't have a set schedule there, but I'm trying to stream more there. But I always post the VODs on my YouTube channel, which is still SpunkyTaylor. Please check out Girls Run These Worlds, where I'm the marketing director over there. There's going to be so many playthroughs on there. You can check out Roll for Luck, which is an all-black cast. They have officially switched systems. So, like, that's going to be great. But I can't announce yet what the system is. So you guys got to just check it out yourself.
For my recommendation this episode, I'd like to introduce you to an actual play by Numinous Productions called A Haunting Beloved. They use the game system Bluebeard's Bride. This actual play features a disabled main character, and players represent different aspects of her interior world. It's a fascinating game and a beautifully made production. It's available on YouTube, link in description. Please share the podcast with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to find new listeners. Your recommendations help me immensely. Thank you to all my listeners spreading the word. I'm so grateful. I started a newsletter. As our social media landscape is forever changing, this is one way to make sure we can always stay in touch. If you'd like to get a behind-the-scenes peek at the podcast, follow my other projects, and be notified when a new episode drops, you can find the sign-up form in the show notes or on my website. One of the things that any creator wants to know is what people think of their work. For podcasters, it can be especially difficult to get feedback. Reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify are a great way to let me and others know that you love the podcast. I read every single one and I treasure them. Did you know that you can now leave comments on individual episodes on Spotify? If you're listening there, I encourage you to leave a comment and let me know what you think about an episode. You may have also noticed a link in my show notes that says send us a text message. If you have a question you'd like me to answer in a future episode, or just want to leave a comment, send me a message. You can find me on Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, and Facebook as Characters Without Stories. You can also listen on YouTube at Characters Without Stories, or just follow the link in the description. I'm currently accepting submissions for non-D&D characters with a strong preference for creators from marginalized communities. If you'd like to share your character, you can go to characterswithoutstories.com and click Submit in the navigation menu. Thanks for listening, and may all your characters find their stories.